Hi, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to today's Peacetime event. Today's Peacetime session is called Authenticity and the Eightfold Path with Venerable Dr. Nicholas. So if this is your first time, you can join us on Zoom, our YouTube channel, our Facebook channel, the Peace Point Meditation Facebook channel, Venerable Nicholas's YouTube page, or you can join us on YouTube, Facebook, or through our website. There's links there to join our Zoom. Coming up as well is our full moon event to celebrate Vesak Day, which is the birth, enlightenment, and passing on of the Lord Buddha. This will take place on Thursday, May 27th. It is the same link as the one we are on right now for today's Peacetime session. However, the full moon for Vesak Day will take place from 6 to 7:30 Pacific time. Now, without further ado, before we have Venerable Dr. Nicholas come along, we'd like you to limber up and stretch. And just a reminder that if at any point you have questions during Venerable Dr. Nicholas's wisdom talk or guided meditation, you are welcome to send him an email. All right, let's get stretching.
The next few poses will be done in a standing position. Please move slowly and at your own pace. Keep the sturdy chair nearby for balance if needed. If you find that I'm talking faster than you are moving, please take your time and do fewer repetitions. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Place the feet about hips-width apart and grounded on the floor. Lift the toes and spread them nice and wide and feel the navel pull gently in towards the spine. Push the toes into the floor and lean forward just a little bit. Feel the muscles that keep you steady. Lean back just a little bit and feel the toes come up. Feel the muscles that keep you steady in this position. Now push all four corners of the feet into the floor. Notice the steadiness of mountain pose. Notice how the steadiness of mountain pose feels. On the next inhale, roll the shoulders towards the ears, back and down so the shoulders are slightly open. Let the palms rest open to the side. Inhale and let the arms rise with the palms facing up. Exhale, bend at the elbows and allow the hands to come down the center line. Sink into the knees just a little. Repeat this again. Inhale, lift the arms with the palms facing up. Allow the hands and face to be relaxed. Continue with this movement at your own pace. Breathe as you move and try to coordinate the breath with the movement. On the next breath, lift the arms back over the head. Fingertips point in, palms face up. Imagine that you have candles in the palms of your hands and you do not want to spill them. Turn the fingertips so they face behind you. The palms remain up. Turn the fingertips to the side and then to the front like an offering, then out to the side walls. Breathe as you move, up to the top with the fingers facing in again, towards one another, and then forwards like an offering, then out to the side walls. Breathe as you move, up to the top with the fingers facing in again. Let's do this rotation one more time. After the second rotation, allow the hands to cascade down by the side and let them rest. Pause for one slow inhale and exhale. One more breath. Inhale, exhale. This next exercise is excellent for strengthening the spine and gently stretching the muscles of the back, front, and sides. Attempt to make the movement easeful and gentle. We will do these movements with various arm positions. The first arm position is the easiest. Please be sure to stay with the one that feels best for your body. We will demonstrate them all. Take the right hand to the waist and then the left. Roll the shoulders open. And on the exhale, lean to the right. Inhale to the center. On the exhale, lean to the left. Inhale back to the center. Roll the shoulders up, back, and down. And on the next inhale, gently pull the navel towards the spine. Pull the shoulder blades softly together. Get a small lift in the chin and feel a sense of lengthening through the front of the body. On the next exhale, begin to fold gently forward. It does not have to be all the way. Bend the knees slightly. Inhale and rise back to a standing position. Open the left arm to the side. Keep the elbow bent. Leave the right hand on the waist. Inhale. Exhale, lean slightly to the right, and then return back to the center. Bring the left hand down to the waist. Lift the right arm. Inhale. Exhale and lengthen to the left. Return to the center. Roll the shoulders open. Gently pull the navel in towards the spine. Pull the shoulder blades softly together. Get a small lift in the chin. Exhale and fold forward halfway. Inhale back to standing. Open the left arm again. Inhale, and on the exhale, lean to the right. Inhale and return back to the center. Place the left hand on the waist. Lift the right arm. Inhale. On the exhale, lean to the left. Inhale and return back to the center. Roll the shoulders open. Lengthen through the front of the body. Slightly pull the shoulder blades together. Get a small lift in the chin. Exhale and fold forward. Knees slightly bent. Inhale and return to standing in mountain pose. Pause for a moment. Inhale and exhale. For this warrior sequence, attempt to keep the movements gentle and relaxed. If you notice that you are struggling, move the feet closer together. Lower the arms or make the movements smaller. This pose is great for strengthening the legs, respiration, and opening the shoulders. Step the left foot forward just a few feet. The back foot points in at a 45-degree angle. The front knee bends and the hips face front if possible. Inhale, open the arms and bend at the elbows. On the exhale, bring the hands and elbows towards each other. Inhale, open the arms and push the heart softly forwards. Relax the shoulders. Exhale, bring the arms together. Inhale, open the arms to where you feel comfortable. Exhale, relax the arms inwards. Inhale, open and expand. Exhale, contract. Inhale, exhale. Bring the hands back down by the side. Return to mountain pose. One breath here. Inhale, exhale. Step the right foot forward. Take a moment, there's no rush. Ground the back foot into the floor. Bend the front knee. When you are ready, open the arms. Inhale. Exhale, bring the hands and elbows towards one another. Inhale, open the arms. This is a relaxed opening in the chest. Exhale, bring the hands and arms towards one another. Inhale, repeat again, creating spaciousness with a full inhale. Exhale, contract and relax the arms slightly. 2 more times at your own pace. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Let the hands rest down by the side and return back to mountain pose. Pause here for a few breaths.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a good stretch. It's always helpful to be limbered up before sitting for long periods of time. And before Venerable Dr. Nicholas arrives, we'd just like to remind you, for any one of you who have been on a hiatus for a short while, that the peace time sessions are slightly modified until sometime in June, probably mid-June, as 2 of the teaching monks are currently in Thailand. So the schedule is that the Tuesdays and Wednesday evening sessions are temporarily canceled. Thursday evenings with Venerable Sopan are still 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. Friday evenings, which are silent meditation, meaning there is no teaching monk to guide the meditation, is 8 to 9 p.m. as usual. And Sunday mornings, we have Venerable Dr. Nicholas from 9:30 to 11 in the morning. So now that we have stretched out, let's see if the Venerable is ready. And a reminder also, before we have him come on, that if you have any questions during his wisdom talk, to please send him an email. He loves getting emails. And if you are looking for more consistent meditation, you can definitely join us on the MindGem app. We can start building a community with others who meditate more frequently. So it becomes a habit once you practice for your own benefit. All right, so that's enough of me. Goodbye.
In Azusa, California. Today's session will be about an hour and a quarter long and will consist of a 25-minute talk and 25 minutes of meditation, finishing up with 25 minutes of conclusion, answers to viewer questions submitted in advance, and news updates. Last time I saw you, we looked at decision-making strategies and 4 bases of sympathy as a way to live up to the spiritual transformation challenge for integration and commitment in our practice by avoiding bias and starting to live up to our commitment to keep open channels of communication with those around us by getting along better with others. The topic for the Dhamma talk today will be authenticity and the Eightfold Path. Again, this session I would encourage you to send in any questions you have by posting them on the Peace Point Meditation YouTube page or Peace Point Meditation Facebook page, or by sending them to me personally so that I can have a shot at answering them the next time round. In my previous session, we looked at strategies for decision making, the ways in which we can speak artfully and, more generally, get along better with the people around us. We have consistently been examining how all these factors are linked with our aptitude for spiritual transformation, but I'm sure some of you may still have suspected that perhaps I was just using meditation as a vague excuse for showering you with a lot of Victorian morality. Today, however, we have this special opportunity to put all of what we've learned so far into one complete picture, to see how all our actions contribute to the process of mental cultivation and how, in return, mental cultivation feeds back into the quality of our everyday life. We start out by comparing our search for the enlightened mind to the task of drilling down into the toughest of rocks underground to find a precious diamond. Just as with mining for a diamond, you need to know the process of mining. In the same way, you need to be systematic if you want to attain a still mind. You would want your mind to be the equivalent of a power tool rather than using a blunt, rusty, old hand auger. You can't just use brute force to grab a still mind for yourself. You can't just dangle a hook inside your stomach and haul it out. In fact, you have to use the mind itself to gently reach toward the inner experience that contains the still mind, and to develop the mind as an efficient tool. It's not a case of just meditating a lot, but even before you get around to meditating, you need to lay the foundations with a total of 8 factors from our everyday lives, otherwise known as the Noble Eightfold Path. The first thing you need to develop is right view. This factor concerns your assumptions about the world or your worldview. Sometimes in management seminars, is called your mindset. Your worldview is like the pilot shaft for a new mine. For normal mining processes, your tools must be sharp and accurate if you are to dig deep. In the same way, the mind needs to have certain qualities if it's going to be up for the inner journey. It needs to be condensed, unified, and powerful. And it needs to have a certain minimum of understanding about the nature of the world, especially an attitude of openness to the possibility for improvement in life through your own efforts. You mustn't underestimate the very real distinction between the wholesome and the unwholesome. You mustn't think that death is the end of the story. You must think that it's worthwhile to try to pursue good deeds. The mind which is ignorant of these things will be too dispersed and scattered to pierce deep enough to reach the center of the body. A dispersed mind cannot even fit through the center of the body. The mind which has right view in the ways mentioned, on the contrary, will be naturally focused and peaceful. Right view is like the diamond tip which allows the drill to penetrate deep into all materials. It's worth pointing out that right view doesn't mean being opinionated or having general knowledge of the things other than existential truths. You might understand everything there is to know about the stars and the planets, modern technology, or the stock market, but none of these things will guarantee that you have right view. The second factor you need to develop is right intention. Once you have right view concerning the important things about life and the world, you will be equipped with the correct assumptions in your mind that allow you to form intentions based on these. The mark of right intention is that it allows you to make the correct decisions about how to lead your life, without any of the biases of desire, hatred, ignorance, or fear. The third factor which you need to develop is right speech, which means our right intentions can start to be expressed in an artful way. This doesn't just mean the words that come out of your mouth, but it refers to any sort of explanation or justification which is communicated. It can include the written word or what you post online. It can be communicated to other people, or like a soliloquy, it can include self-speech, like when you say to yourself, "Oh, so that's what it means." The ability to reason our intentions through correctly leads to the ability to explain things correctly. Even the habit of keeping a diary is a way of cultivating right speech. People who are too lazy to record details of their lives will never manage to improve their life for the better, because they lack a sense of perspective on their life. Having right speech certainly means avoiding dishonest or improper speech, such as telling lies, but mostly emphasizes speaking only of good things at the appropriate time, as we've seen with the 5-star or artful speech of the previous session. The fourth factor you need to develop is right action. Because of correct explanation, the next thing to emerge in our repertoire will be right action. Whatever you do, whether you are sitting, standing, walking, or lying down, it must be correct and proper. Even if you play sports, you need to play according to the rules and avoid cheating. If you eat, you need to know what things should be eaten and what things should be avoided. You can swim in the sea, but you mustn't use it as an excuse to catch fish. You shouldn't use sport as an excuse to place bets. If you want to practice yoga, that's okay. If you want to practice karate, that's also okay, but not to use your new moves to get in a fight. You should have the best of manners, and when you work or study or look after your family, you should do things in an authentic and systematic way, in the proper sequence. You will notice that as you reach this stage, there will be a lot less mental chatter to distract the mind. The essence of right action is to do things in a way that does not lead to distraction of the mind. You must not let the tip of the drill spin away from the mark. You must not let the hammer slip away from the chisel, or you'll never get the diamond. The fifth factor you need to develop is right livelihood. Traditionally speaking, this means avoiding making your living by selling weapons, slaves, animals to the slaughterhouse, alcohol, or poison. In fact, all jobs have grey areas or loopholes that require care. Supposing you are a pop singer or a movie star. What about being a model on the fashion catwalk? If you don't have a clear idea about how much to cover yourself up, eventually your privacy will be compromised in a way that causes your mind to get distracted. If you can practice right livelihood, then you avoid being a burden on society, and your job won't encroach on your private life. That way your mind will automatically be far more peaceful, even without having done anything special. If you don't rely on income from gambling, then you don't get the resulting downside of debt or violence. If you don't get hired as an assassin, then you won't constantly be looking over your shoulder. If you are a monk, you won't want to give predictions for the lottery or tell fortunes. Notice that if you avoid the sort of living where you make a profit out of the suffering of others, you will already gain a certain level of peace of mind. It all starts with having right view that feeds into right intention. Because of right intention, you gain right speech. Because of right speech, you gain right action. Because of right action, you gain right livelihood and a mind free of distractions. For earning your living, you just earn your living in order to feed yourself and your family. Nothing more complicated than that. For monks, income should be no more complicated than going on alms round. The sixth factor you need to develop is right effort. Once you do only good things in life, you will see the benefits firsthand and develop confidence in the value of good action. When this is the case, you will want to do only good things and avoid bad ones, hence making the sort of effort which is called right effort. When we notice we have a bad habit, we will instantly want to overcome it. If we see the opportunities to do better deeds, such as helping society to become a more harmonious place, then we will jump at the opportunity. This is the practice of right effort. The seventh factor you need to develop is right mindfulness. This factor is to do with placing the attention in the right place, that is, internally and ideally at the center of the body. Such mindfulness is not the result only of practicing meditation, but it is the culmination of successfully following all the preceding factors. Right effort leads to relinquishing more and more bad habits, to the point where you become able to use right effort merely to maintain the mind at the center of the body all the time. It will become a second nature to take care of your mind in order that it doesn't become disconnected from the center of the body. By contrast, those suffering from wrong mindfulness will suffer from constant distraction of the mind. They would have no idea whether their mind is focused inside the body or outside. When those with wrong mindfulness go into a jewelry shop, see a huge diamond and think, "What a lovely diamond," their attention gets stuck outside the body by obsession with that diamond. The way to overcome such an obsession very cheaply, by having right mindfulness, is to bring the mind home to the center of the body, rather than bringing the diamond back to your home. You need to place the awareness at the center of the body. If the mind is inside the body, especially at the center of the body, it will automatically be peaceful. The final factor you need to develop is right concentration. In fact, it develops automatically as a result of successful completion of the first 7 factors. As a result, there will be a force which pulls the mind through the center of the body. It is an attractive force which is very strong, like in a magnet attracting a pin. However, when it is still in the stage when the attraction is not very strong, it will still be vulnerable to distraction. This is not yet fully right concentration. However, when the attraction is so strong that the mind is unified and thinks of nothing else but the center of the body, right concentration has been fully achieved. Usually the mind is bright and clear, but when it harbors bad thoughts, it becomes dull, as if obscured by clouds. However, when you start to think positive and maintain the mind at the center of the body, in an instant all the clouds disappear and the mind becomes clear and bright. When concentration has arisen, the mind is bright like the full moon that has come out from behind the clouds. You will gain the ability to discern the distinctions between wholesomeness and unwholesomeness without needing to have these things explained to you. Positivity streams into the mind, making it bright, just like electricity powers up the lights in a room. In fact, reaching right concentration, the Eightfold Path loops back into right view, but on a level which is more refined than you started with. You achieve right view at a higher level of progress. Right view at the second level leads to right intention at a higher level, and right speech at a higher level, and so on. The cycle continues round and around, just like a nut screws itself further and further along a bolt, but in this case coming closer and closer to the attainment of a still mind. This explains why, when people practice meditation, suddenly the circuit is completed and their life is immediately raised up to a higher level of progress. As mentioned in the previous session, the Eightfold Path can also be used as a decision-making strategy. Many things can supplement our lives in a way that improves our meditation for the better. Other things may be incompatible with our meditation. So how can we know the difference? The answer is to apply the Eightfold Path, factor by factor, to the practice, to decide whether it is compatible with meditation. For example, do you think that going along to a séance, where they have a person who acts as a spiritual medium to summon the restless spirits of dead people, would help you to meditate better? If you're in doubt, you can analyze the practice factor by factor. For example, does a séance conform with right view? Well, helping spirits to cross to the other side conforms to not believing death is the end of the story, so you can't fault it on that item. For the second factor, do séances conform with right intention? Well, the intention seems to be a good one, to have the compassion to help wandering spirits to escape suffering, so you can't fault it on that one either. For the third factor, do séances conform to right speech? Well, you can't find fault with the people who go to séances because most of them seem to speak more politely than you do. For the fourth factor, do séances conform to right action? Well, you can't find fault with the people who go to séances because most of them seem to be helpful and compassionate, so you can't fault it on that one. For the fifth factor, do séances conform to right livelihood? Well, you can't fault it on that one because most people who go to séances claim they only do it as a hobby. None of them do it professionally or make a profit out of their spiritualist practice. For the sixth factor, do séances conform to right effort? Well, you can't find fault with people who go to séances because most of them seem to be striving to make the world a better place, so you can't fault them on that one. For the seventh factor, do séances conform to right mindfulness? Remember that right mindfulness requires that you focus the mind inside the body. At this point, the practice of the spiritual medium at a séance falls down, because it turns out that the only way they can channel a disembodied spirit is to focus their mind outside the body. Only when the medium's own spirit has vacated their body can another spirit possess them and speak through them. So you can see that this practice, along with many other forms of so-called black magic, Ouija boards, and so on, are actually incompatible with meditation. They lead to wrong meditation or wrong concentration, where the mind becomes fixated outside the body, and the person gets himself into a trance where they lose control of their own awareness. So apart from being a standard in decision-making about spiritual issues, the Eightfold Path that can better enable us to integrate all aspects of our everyday life with the practice of our meditation in a way that boosts the positivity of our life as well as our meditation practice. Speaking of which, we come to the time for some meditation ourselves. If you'd like to find a comfortable sitting position for yourself now as you listen to my instructions. Having adjusted your posture for meditation, rest your mind in stillness, gently at the center of your body, allowing your mind to become empty from all anxieties and worries, so that inside feels spacious. Allow your mind to rest in complete stillness, as if you never had any worries before. Without any attachments, without any worries, your mind should be still and free. And there's no need to think of anything at all. Your mind should be in complete stillness for a minute or two, while at the same time adjusting your posture, especially the way you close your eyes, to be completely comfortable and relaxed, without worrying about your external environment. Even though your surroundings might not be ideal for meditation, or if your meditation mat might not be the most comfortable, pretend you are not interested in these external factors. Our mind should be unmoved at our center, and we fill our mind with happiness and joy, as if it's refreshed the whole of the time, and filled with faith in the triple gem, in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, which are our highest refuges. Because there's no higher thing which can be our refuge than these three things. As Buddhists, we should take the triple gem as our true refuge. It should be a refuge to our mind. Our mind should be aligned with these things, taking these things as our support in life, rather than resorting to superstitious charms or rites and rituals. Today, as we meditate, we'll take the opportunity to explore the inner meaning of the triple gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, and how these can be the things which give us support and be our refuge. We shouldn't expect other things to be able to help us in times of trouble, no matter what other people might try to convince us. We should pay attention to the triple gem, rather than paying attention to these things which cannot be our true refuge, or help us to break free from suffering. Because anything other than the triple gem must eventually deteriorate. They must go through the cycle of arising, perpetuation, and decay. If they are not permanent, they cannot be a true refuge to us. Most people know that taking refuge in the triple gem is the first and foremost step which you need to take as a Buddhist. However, what do we mean by taking refuge? Shouldn't it be more than just saying a few words in the Pali language? A refuge is something that shelters us from adversity. If you are ill or injured, maybe a hospital is your refuge. If you are hungry and penniless, maybe a helpful relative can be your refuge. But what if you are cast adrift in the cycle of rebirth? What can you take as your refuge when you realize the perils of birth, old age, sickness, and death, which are built into your very existence? If someone comes along and tells you that tree spirits can be your refuge, maybe you'll go and worship tree spirits in order to give yourself comfort and overcome your fears. If someone tells you that a certain place of pilgrimage can be your refuge, maybe you will try to go there in order to give yourself comfort and try to overcome your fears. If someone tells you that faith in a certain deity you've never seen can be your refuge, maybe you will try to worship that deity in order to give yourself comfort and overcome your fears. Refuge, in a religious sense, usually focuses on an unknown factor, and it's the differences in the nature of the unknown factor which distinguish the different religions that we know in the world today. Buddhism, however, advocates that you take refuge in the triple gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. But we have to understand what exactly we are focusing on, so that we cannot be accused of being gullible. So we have to know what we mean by the triple gem. In fact, the triple gem is something we can take refuge in on three possible levels of description. On the historical level of meaning, when we talk about the Buddha, we mean the historical personage of the founder of Buddhism, Siddhartha Gautama, who became enlightened under a Bodhi tree 2,500 years ago. When we talk of the Dhamma, we mean the things that Siddhartha Gautama was able to teach as a result of his enlightenment, which are nowadays found in the Buddhist scriptures. When we talk of the Sangha, we mean the historical community of monks, contemporary to Siddhartha Gautama, who became enlightened as a result of his teaching. On a slightly deeper level of meaning, which you can call the global level of meaning, we look beyond the historical origins of contemporary Buddhism to see that our Buddha was not unique, but that there have been many Buddhas down the ages. We see that there are similarities in the characteristics of these Buddhas down the ages, and as a result, we are able to come to conclusions about the characteristics of a Buddha, from which we can recognize ideals and values which we can try to instill in ourselves. Therefore, the Triple Gem as a refuge becomes the global ideals exemplified by Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha down the ages. On an even deeper level of meaning, which you can call the experiential level of meaning, we describe the Triple Gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and Sangha, as the Buddha Gem, the Dhamma Gem, and the Sangha Gem, not outside ourselves, but as something which is already within ourselves, but which we must attain through meditation practice. If we can attain it for ourselves, that is what we call true taking of refuge. In the case of the Buddha Gem, it is the undefiled body of enlightenment, or the Dhammakaya, at the center of the body. The Dhamma Gem is the sphere of wisdom within the Dhammakaya, and the Sangha is the subtle presence within, which guards and perpetuates the Dhamma for posterity. Seeing Buddhism in this way, Buddhism is less of a religion or a belief system, but more of a lifestyle, because we understand that the reason we call ourselves Buddhists is that we are working towards attaining the Triple Gem within. The body, which we can see with our naked eye, is merely our physical body. It's not really ourselves. According to the Mahasatipatthana Sutta and the findings of the great abbot of Wat Phra Nam, we know that there are inner bodies which are more subtle, nested inside the physical body, which are referred to as the body in the body, or the inner bodies inside the physical body, which are nested inside of us. In fact, there are a total of 18 bodies that make up our body and mind, but in brief, to deal with the main categories, we start with the astral body, which is nested inside the physical human body, and which has the same features as our physical body. It is male if you are a man, it is female if you are a lady. It is nested and centered also at the seventh base of the mind, the seventh base which is 2 finger breadths above the navel. Inside the center of the astral body, there is the angelic body. It is a more subtle body. It is a body yet more subtle than the astral body, or the subtle human body. It is nested inside. It's a very beautiful body, with all the bodily trappings of a celestial being, at the center of the astral body. At the center of the angelic body, there is another body nested, which is the form Brahma body, which is at the center of the angelic body. At the center of the form Brahma body, there is the formless Brahma body, nested at its center, and these are nested sequentially. In the center of the formless Brahma body, there is the first of the bodies of enlightenment, the body which we refer to as the Buddha Gem. It is a very beautiful body, with no blemishes or faults, with a crystal lotus bud on top of its head, sitting in meditation, bright and clear and pure, purer than a diamond, and clearer than anything you will find in the world. This is the Buddha Gem inside us, which we must try to attain for ourselves. We must lead our mind inwards until we can attain this for ourselves. Only when we can do this can we really say that we have the Buddha Gem as our refuge in life. Now that we know what a refuge is, and how Buddhism teaches us to take refuge in the Triple Gem rather than in an unknown factor, it may come as no surprise to us that the Buddha taught us further to be a refuge unto ourselves. People hearing such a teaching of the Buddha might consider that Buddhists are self-centered, selfish, or simply self-sufficient. But in fact, if we see the Triple Gem in its experiential context, we will understand that in fact we seek to attain the Triple Gem within ourselves. We are seeking to find our true self within ourselves. Far from being an unknown factor, it is trusting in ourselves and seeking for the highest in ourselves, namely the body of enlightenment or the Dhammakaya, which is like a little seed of nirvana inside ourselves, that is like the precursor of liberation inside ourselves. The more a part of our life we can make it, the more we are able to liberate ourselves from the clutches of the cycle of rebirth. When one day our consciousness is reunited with such an awareness 24 hours a day, we will not be drawn back into the cycle of rebirth anymore. Thus, the Triple Gem is the starting point of being a good Buddhist. And today, we should fill our mind with faith in the Triple Gem, so that this can be our refuge. And we will make the firm intention that we should lead our mind to go to the Triple Gem for refuge. And today we'll be looking at the method by which you can train your mind to go to the Triple Gem. It is the most subtle of our inner bodies, which is nested inside our center, because once we attain it, we will be a refuge to ourselves in terms of true happiness. We will know the true meaning of happiness, because we have heard a lot about happiness in the past, but we will find out what it is actually really like. Most beings have no idea what the real meaning of the word happiness is. They only know about the fake happiness, taking refuge in insubstantial things. They borrow the word happiness to use for other things. Some people say gambling brings them happiness, that alcohol brings them happiness, or going to nightclubs. But when they find the real Buddha gem inside themselves, the thing which before they understood to be true happiness will instantly be transformed. They will have no remaining doubts. They will know that the characteristic of true happiness is something completely different from anything they've experienced before. They'll realize that what they called happiness before was really just a distraction from the state of suffering in their lives. So, true happiness is something we can only really have when we attain the Buddha gem inside ourselves, which is clearer than clear, more beautiful than beauty inside ourselves. This is the real happiness that we should be looking for. The shortcut to attaining the happiness of the Triple Gem is to bring our mind to a standstill at the center of the body, at the seventh base of the mind. We should bring our mind to a standstill at that point, bringing perception, memory, thought and cognition to a standstill at one single point at the center of our body. Because focusing our mind anywhere else is of no real value to us. We should be regular in our reflection at the center of the body, by imagining a bright, clear object there as an anchor for the mind, by thinking of a crystal ball at the center of our body, or perhaps thinking of a diamond at the center of the body, a diamond that is clear and bright, as if it has been polished into a sphere about the same size as the tip of our little finger, and imagining this crystal ball as clear as a diamond the whole of the time, and giving ourselves a feeling that this bright image is resting at the center of our body, 2 finger breadths above the navel. As for those who are new to meditation, who have not yet understood the position of the center of the body, you should imagine that you are taking a thread from your navel directly through your back, and a second thread running from the right side to the left side on the same level. At the intersection of these 2 threads, at a point which is no larger than the eye of a needle, if you go 2 finger breadths above this point, it's a point which we call the 7th base of the mind. This is the point where we must imagine that we are resting the crystal ball. We should imagine it gently, rather like thinking of the image of a rose or a dewdrop which is running to and fro on a lily pad. We should have a light, gentle feeling, a relaxed feeling. When we think of the crystal ball, when we are new to meditation, sometimes we cannot imagine it very clearly. Mostly, it's not easy for us to do in the beginning. It's only a few rare persons who who have cultivated these skills from previous lifetimes, who have an instant familiarity with the crystal ball at the center of their body. But such people are rare to find. Usually, 90% of people don't find it easy to keep their mind on the mental object in the beginning. We have to accept the nature of people's skills because we are new to meditation. So we have to be patient in the beginning. We must gradually train ourselves to imagine the crystal ball, which is clear and bright, at the center of the body, clear as a diamond, flawless, at the center of our body. Gradually and patiently imagine it. Imagine it gently. Don't let go of your feeling of being relaxed. You must just gently imagine it. It's difficult in the beginning for those whose minds are still in a coarse state, who are used to struggling for things in the outside world. We have to retrain ourselves to relax and just allow the crystal ball to appear for itself. Because if we use worldly methods to try to procure the crystal ball, we will never be successful, and it will just frustrate us and give us a feeling of despair in our meditation, because we've got the method wrong. If you meditate in the proper way, giving yourself all the time in the world to allow the mind to adapt, before long we will become familiar with the center of the body, and the bright image will gradually appear by itself. Furthermore, in daily life, you have to make enough time to meditate, giving a little time to it each and every day, frequently and daily, in accordance with the Buddha's words, Bahula Bahuligata, and maintaining the vision at your center. No matter whether you are standing, walking, sitting, or lying down, or whatever chores you are doing, you must give yourself the opportunity, you must give yourself the chance to keep the mind in the center all the time, so that your mind can really become familiar with the center of the body and the crystal ball there. So, if we do this often, the image in the mind will gradually become clearer in our mind, little by little. From just seeing things vaguely, the image will become gradually clearer to us, more vivid. It will become gradually clearer as time passes, in proportion to the amount of time we give to ourselves. You need to have enough flying time in your meditation. You need to give yourself enough time to adapt the meditation, just as a pilot must build up experience of flying. We must have sufficient time for ourselves to imagine the crystal ball at the center of our body, whatever position we're in. Someday in the future, once our mind becomes familiar with the center of the body, we will come to a point where we will be fulfilled in our wish for success in meditation, and in the end, we will be able to see the object inside ourselves as clearly with our mind as we can see things in the outside world. We will see the object inside with a real clarity, as if we were opening our eyes to look at it. And it may even become clearer than the objects we can see in the outside world. Normally, we can see things in the outside world only as clearly as our eyes are able to see them. But if we are able to see more clearly than the eye, it's like taking a magnifying glass or a microscope, with which one is able to magnify the object to make it larger in size than we can see with our naked eye. This is how it is when our meditation is going well. We will be able to see more of the detail of the object than we can see even with our physical eyesight. This is the meaning of the words, clearer than can be seen with the naked eye, which we sometimes find in our meditation evaluation. The moment the object becomes this clear, we will have the instant byproduct, which is the happiness that fills the mind, overwhelms the mind, as if someone turned on the tap of happiness inside ourselves. That happiness will spread to fill every molecule of our being. We will be filled with joy. We will feel light in weight, both in body and in mind, and we will feel as if our body is weightless, rather like our whole body is as light as a bubble. We will feel as if our body has faded away into the atmosphere around us, and we will feel that our body is not there anymore. Our mind will be so pure, purer than anything we have ever experienced before. So, from this moment onwards, may all of you imagine the bright crystal ball at the center of your body, bringing your mind to a standstill at the center of the brightness in the center of the crystal ball, while maintaining the mantra Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, if necessary, in your mind. Your mind should be at a standstill, so don't allow your mind to be distracted anywhere else. Now, each their own meditation practice in silence until we come to the appropriate time. Sappa Dhammanupavena, Sappa Sankhanupavena, Sattha Soti, Bhavantu Te. So if you'd like to come to the end of your meditation for today, you can gradually open your eyes again. If you feel at all uncomfortable, and slowly try changing to a more comfortable position, and gently finish your practice. So to live up to the challenge of commitment, we now continue by looking at the subject of authenticity. Authenticity is a form of being genuine in our efforts and implies truthfulness and honesty with yourself and others in whatever you do. It means avoiding being fake in your efforts to do good deeds, although you may find that eventually you can fake it until you make it. It's the equivalent of avoiding being dishonest with yourself, telling lies to yourself, or living a lie. We need such authenticity to help uproot bad habits from our personality and defilements from the mind. Similarly, we need to be authentic in our cultivation of good deeds to gradually replace the bad habits from our repertoire. In effect, we all have a lot of work in hand, because to overcome such habits is not something that can be done overnight. We know that good habits can help us to turn against the current of negative influences in the world, but to do so with sufficient vigor to make any difference, we have to cultivate good habits with the intensity to turn around the direction of our destiny. Such a way of accruing good deeds is known as authenticity. The sort of effort that identifies authenticity is regularity, unconditionality, and perseverance in the face of obstacles. Authenticity means having no excuses. The less excuses you have about managing to cultivate good habits, the more they will develop. Having no excuses, conditions, ifs or buts, makes a difference between cultivating good habits intermittently and accumulating good habits continuously until we reach the aim that we've set for ourselves. Whenever we try to do good deeds, we inevitably find challenges and obstacles in just the same way as we discovered overcoming the fear of death, represented by the last of the gremlins we saw a couple of sessions ago. Some people give up easily in the face of such obstacles. Those who value authenticity will always want to achieve better than best, rather than settling for mediocrity or having excuses for their lack of quality workmanship. So we'll look at authenticity in 5 different contexts: for study, in the workplace, in terms of punctuality, relationships, and in our meditation. So let's start with authenticity in the study context. A lack of authenticity may be the reason students fail in their studies, and this would definitely be true for students who are always leaving their revision until the last moment. Reasons why students are unsuccessful include failure to follow through on the full process of learning, or failure to appreciate knowledge from all its possible perspectives. If one is to be authentic in one's learning, it is necessary to follow through on the whole process of learning and not just stop short, having completed only some of the stages in the process. Otherwise, the depth of the knowledge or the usefulness of the knowledge will be curtailed. The process of learning I'm talking about is sometimes known as the 7 veils of knowledge. Firstly, you need to make sure that you come into contact with a knowledgeable teacher. Otherwise, you won't even start the learning process. Secondly, you need to make sure you listen to what the teacher is teaching you. Otherwise, you will only manage to learn from their example. This is true of students who only want to take a selfie with a famous professor, but they don't want to attend their lectures. Thirdly, you need to make sure that you're attentive to what the teacher is saying. Otherwise, you'll end up only being interested in learning enough to avoid failing your exams. Fourthly, you need to make sure that you take time to memorize the necessary parts of your knowledge, whether it be times tables in math or verb endings for a second language. Otherwise, you'll end up with gaps in your knowledge. Fifthly, you need to make sure you think through and reflect on the things you've memorized. Otherwise, you'll be constantly reliant on books and notes. Sixthly, you need to make sure that you apply the understanding of what you've gained practically. Otherwise, you'll end up with only useless theoretical understanding of the world. Finally, you need to make sure that you apply the knowledge that you've learned both for the benefit of yourself, but more importantly for the benefit of others. Otherwise, your knowledge will only serve to make you more selfish. Once we understand each of these stages in the acquisition of knowledge clearly, then we can use them to assess how authentic we are in our studies. Or if you're a teacher, you can assess how genuine your students are in their efforts to learn. Also, whatever knowledge you learn, try to see it from 4 different perspectives: the depth of the knowledge, the breadth of the knowledge, thoroughness of the knowledge, and long-term perspective of the knowledge, and study all 4. To get the knowledge in depth, you need to know the roots and origins of everything you study. In other words, its provenance. Don't believe things simply because they're traditional or customary without understanding the reasons behind such customs. To get the knowledge in breadth, you need to have broad knowledge, not only of your own narrow specialism, but about all the ways these can be applied to your everyday life. Even if you study the arts, you still need to know the elements of electricity, because you use electricity all day long from the time you get up in the morning to the time you go to bed. If you've studied science, you still need to know about the arts, otherwise you will not understand how to communicate emotions, feelings, and ideas to others. To get thorough knowledge, you will need to know the connections between your specialism and other issues. And to get long-sighted knowledge, you will need to know the future implications for the knowledge you are studying. Moving along to how we can be more authentic in the workplace, there are 3 general issues where we get stuck in inauthenticity: work left unfinished, substandard working, or failing to work for the benefit of society. Why do some people never get round to finishing the work they start? You may know some people even in your own office who get a reputation for leaving a huge backlog of work. Every piece of work which involves them in any way can easily be found, because it's always on that person's desk unfinished. 3 common excuses for not completing work are not having enough time, not having enough resources, and not having enough help. So how can we deal with these excuses like a person who intends to try harder in the workplace? If you want to look at why work is left unfinished, in almost every case you can generalize down to 4 basic reasons: never getting started, using the wrong timing, using the wrong technique, and getting distracted halfway through. Traditionally, people who never got round to starting are characterized as waiting for an astrologically auspicious time to start. These days, however, the textbooks on prevarication tell us that people are more likely to delay starting because they fear being judged for a lack of ability, or they don't want to appear to be too keen, or they think the work is going to expand to fill the time available, so they leave it to the last moment, or because they want to control the distance in a relationship, perhaps because they resent a boss who likes to micromanage them. Sometimes you can appear inauthentic in your efforts at work because you are going about your work at the wrong time or with the wrong timing. If you plough the fields too early in the season, the weeds will grow back before you have the chance to sow your crops. This is an example of being hasty in the things that don't require it. Other people go to the opposite extreme and wait until it's too late before starting on a task, like a person who doesn't bother to study in their youth when their brain is fresh, and ends up having to go back to college when their memory is already failing them in their old age. Another reason you might end up looking as if you are not genuine in your efforts at work is because you are going about your work in completely the wrong way. Therefore, you need to work smart and avoid mistakes, such as trying to work individually when the task requires teamwork, or by making a mess of the way you divide up the way you allocate your time. Some people look like they're not making a genuine effort at work because they get distracted halfway through. Some are distracted because they're more interested in eating, in sleeping, in their romantic interest, or because they habitually get up late, or perhaps because they're just filled with excuses. The next problem of inauthenticity is in the workplace is that not with people who don't finish their work, but those who are substandard in the quality of their work. Some people aim to do no more than the minimum to scrape through any allocated work without attracting any complaints. They're not interested in quality, like the student who studies only enough to pass the examinations. Still, this is a little better than someone who doesn't even try to finish their work. But a lack of pride in one's work doesn't fit with being an authentic person. Ideally, people should work to the best of their ability to have pride in their work. Unfortunately, such people are often workaholic because they may not be interested whether what they do is ethical or not. Finally, a problem of authenticity in the workplace is doing work that's of no benefit to society. This is the factor that concerns the ethical issues of the work you do. Some people, apart from finishing work and doing it to the best of their ability, will also select only ethical types of work which are of benefit to society. They will not select to do work such as trading in poison, alcohol, live animals, slaves, weapons, or poison, which are contrary to the right livelihood I mentioned earlier. Also, they will not earn their living in ways that contravene the laws or customs of the place in which they are living. On the contrary, if the work involves wrong livelihood, it is a sign of inauthenticity in the workplace. As a result of getting our working life in control in all the ways described, you will actually find your working life will facilitate your progress in meditation, because you will avoid having anxieties that unsettle the mind when you come to meditate. Moving on to how to be authentic with our time, we come to the topic of punctuality. This is the fourth of the 5 forms of universal goodness. It is less of a problem in the West than it is in Asia, where time generally is perceived to be more elastic in nature. Time is considered the most precious asset we possess. If we are punctual by nature, it helps us to avoid being put in a situation where we are tempted to tell lies. Showing up late for work or not finishing our job on time can cause us to cover ourselves by telling a lie. When you're punctual, you do not need to make up such excuses. Being punctual also shows that you value not only your own time, but that you're considerate about wasting other people's time. Punctuality shows others that you respect them, can manage your own time well, and you're a person of your word. It shows you're dependable. On the other hand, showing up late is like stealing someone's most valuable and irreplaceable asset. People with good time management skills can more easily find balance in life. At school, when both teachers and students show up on time, the learning environment is more energetic and enjoyable. In the workplace, timely habits will almost always make a company more competitive than rivals that do not value the time of their clients. Being punctual on a consistent basis allows the company to meet important deadlines, and this creates a good reputation amongst current and future clients. If you know you're not very punctual, you can build on this aspect of your authenticity by waking up right away when the alarm goes off rather than hitting the snooze button. By reminding yourself of the precious and irreplaceable nature of time and trying to arrive 5 to 10 minutes before any appointment. Moving on to how to be authentic in relationships, it can be very helpful to cultivate a sense of gratitude to all the people you know in the world, because this will help you to see the relationships you have with others as an opportunity to do good deeds. Being generous sensibly, you will not have to fear that others are going to try to take advantage of you. Also, this is a difference between noble spiritual friendship and fake friendships, a topic that we will look at further in my next session. It also means unconditionality in relationships with close family and helping our extended family to the best of our ability, which again we'll look at in more detail in a future session. Lastly, we come to how to be authentic in meditation and other good deeds. There are 4 things that we need to work on: willingness, comfort and concentration and balance, consistency, and corrective observation. Willingness is the motivation to pursue spiritual transformation and practice meditation. Prajan Burin Titakusalo explained in his book called Inner Peace Life that these 5 features can overcome each of the 5 hindrances accounted in meditation. Willingness is considered the antidote for sense desire, because it reclaims your attention from distracting sense pleasures and inspires us towards the goal of meditation. Comfort is a sense of ease and contentment with your present condition. It is regarded as an antidote to ill will, which is a tense and negative feeling. When the mind is established in comfort, bothersome people, things and situations will no longer disturb you. Concentration is a state of awareness of whatever arises in the present moment. It's considered the antidote to sleepiness, which is a dull and lethargic state of mind. Consistency means practicing on a regular basis with a resistance to distraction. It is the antidote to restlessness, which is an unsettled, anxious feeling characterized by an inability to sustain focus for extended periods of time. Corrective observation is a state of neutral and peaceful monitoring of the mind. It is considered the antidote for doubt, because doubt is the judgmental reaction to your mental condition. It is not a state of neutral observation for your mind. Although doubt is beneficial for intellectual development, for meditation, doubt is considered to be a hindrance to attaining a proper state of deep inner silence, leading to wisdom. To successfully observe in meditation, you must let go of judgment and observe with equanimity. The origin of this recipe for success in meditation can also be applied as a solution to all forms of inauthenticity in life. Willingness aligns with initial inspiration. The balance of concentration and comfort aligns with balanced application. Consistency aligns with continuous application, and corrective observation aligns with evaluation. Finally, we come to a general solution to boost our levels of authenticity, whether in study, work, punctuality, relationships, or meditation, is to cultivate the ingredients of success, known by the Buddhist technical term of the 4 Iddhipāta, or basis of success. To develop authenticity in all tasks, you need to follow a recipe for success which includes a total of 4 constituents: initial inspiration, balanced application, continuous application, and evaluation. The first of these is initial inspiration. If you can build enthusiasm for your task so that you are active and lively rather than being reluctant and lethargic, this is the first and most important step to success in a task. Don't forget, if you're doing it right, it should be fun. If you find that you are by nature lethargic, you can solve the problem by playing sport and taking exercise to wake you up. The second constituent is balanced application. If you can train yourself to love the sight of each task, seeing each as a challenge instead of being scared, that the work will make you tired. Train yourself never to look down on any sort of work and not to prevaricate about doing things when you have already made up your mind to do them. The third of these is continuous application. Always be detailed and refined in your work, approaching the work in a way that is appropriate. Knowing the nature of any task can be developed by experience and not giving up until the task is complete. The last ingredient is evaluation. Always look back over the success of your work performance to see if there's any way in which you could do the same thing better. Be observant. Improve your skills by associating closely with those more skilled than yourself, and don't forget to meditate regularly. If you can develop these 4 ingredients of success, you will be able to complete tasks on time for sure, and you'll be able to maintain your duties however many you have. So today, besides the Noble Eightfold Path, we have been looking at ways to build up on authenticity in aspects of life that affect our efforts in spiritual transformation. During the coming week, why not try observing how much authenticity you put into the things you do in your life to see if these strategies are useful to you. If you find that you're not making as much progress as you expect in your meditation, try tuning up on authenticity, whether it be in your studies, work, relationships, punctuality, or meditation itself. So we come to the part of the live stream where we try to answer some of the questions sent in by viewers. Today my question comes from John Chabot. I hope I got the pronunciation right. So here comes the question. Is it true that you only make merit when your mind is at the center and not every time you sit to meditate? Hi John, and thank you for your amusing question. I would like to emphasize at the outset that you get merit every time you meditate, whether your mind's at the center of your body or not. You even get merit if you fall asleep for the whole of your meditation, because at the very least you start with your mind with a wholesome intention, which is the origin of merit in your life. The question of whether your mind is at the center of your body does, however, affect the amount of merit arising for you. It's not an all or nothing phenomenon. It is rather like collecting rainwater as it falls from the sky. You can hold out your hand and you get a palmful. You can put out a bucket and you get a bucketful. The rain falling gives the same opportunity for everyone to collect what they can, but it's up to each person to fulfill their own side of the deal to avoid the rainwater going to waste. The reason why we are particularly interested in having our mind at the center of the body is that it's like going to the source of the merit or the rainwater, if you would like to take that metaphor further. For as long as your mind is at the center of the body, it's like you're connected with the source of the merit or the water main, if you want to persevere with our metaphor. Thus, even a few moments at the source or the center can yield more merit than running around putting out buckets, which would be the equivalent of a meditation which was not so precisely focused. Thus, we try to keep our mind at the center as much as we can. But if we can't manage to do this the whole time, we should not beat ourselves up about it. but rest assured that we will still obtain a certain amount of merit regardless, while trying to extend the length of our time that our mind stays at the center as we get more adept in our practice. For those of you who like to visit the temple in Azusa to bring offerings, please be informed that there is a new site for temple offering at the car parking lot next to the main temple building between 10 and 11 a.m. each day. If you have trouble with the passcode on the gate or wish to visit at a different time, please call Jenny on 562-716-2961. There will be a monk on standby in PPE to receive the offering and give a short blessing for visitors. English-speaking monks will be on duty on Wednesdays and Saturdays. A short ceremony for 5 precepts, meditation and a blessing are given on the weekends starting at 10:45 a.m. Needless to say, the whole temple would like to rejoice in the merits of all continuing to take the opportunity to support the temple in this way. Meanwhile, there are a few changes to the 2021 schedule from Peace Point. Every Sunday morning, you've now got me with live material and archived material on alternating Sundays. Venerable Sopon now appears every Thursday evening. For the benefit of families listening in, there's also a special show for children in English known as Shining Stars. That goes out at the new time of 6 to 6:30 p.m. every Monday evening, with bedtime stories and meditation short enough to keep the attention of younger listeners. Outside of the live streams and on-demand programming, there is the constantly updated MindGem app, which you can download for free, allowing you to listen to meditation and Dhamma talks in English on your cell phone, even when you are offline. In the meantime, I would like to give the blessing that you stay healthy, avoid reckless or complacency in the face of the virus, maintain a positive mood, speak only positive words, forgive others, extend good wishes to others, and meditate daily. Try to be more authentic with everything you do towards your own spiritual journey of spiritual transformation, especially in putting the Eightfold Path in practice in your life. So for today's program, this is me, Phra Nicholas Thanissaro, signing off for this session. So long, folks, and stay safe.